Welcome to Truth, Money, and Freedom. Today is Wednesday, May 29th, 2019. Hey, gang, I've got a lot of stuff to cover here, and I'm going to try and get it under 10 minutes. Yield curve collapse continues. Morgan Stanley, it's much worse than you think. This story's from today, and they're talking, of course, about the ever ominous threat of the 3-month and the 10-year yield inversion. It's at negative 13 right now. And let's see if I can bring that up here in another browser. Here we go. The 10-year at 2.22%. And the 3-month, of course, let me refresh. It always comes up for a few seconds, 2.3%. There is a huge inversion now between the 3-month and the 10-year. Once again, this is using CNN Business. But you see now how bad the inversion's going on here. Once again, signaling a recession. This is the same exact inversion curve that the media told you just a month ago was nothing. Don't worry about it. This happens all the time. It doesn't mean a recession. They lied. And let's just be honest about it. In fact, Cramer, I have information right now that Cramer is at a complete loss right now to understand why the markets are going down. So I don't watch the mainstream. I'll watch clips on YouTube from time to time, but yeah, apparently that's really confusing him. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Well, Cramer, it should make sense because the American economy is falling apart, evidenced by retail sale closings. You should know that. That is a sign that stocks are going to tumble. But there are many other reasons why too. But how long can they keep the bubble blown up in the stock market is anyone's guess. Once again, I don't care about the numbers. They're an illusion. I care about the color red or the color green. That's what I watch for. Okay, the 10-year yield, I already showed you that on the bond yield curve page. The 10-year yield is just like virtually collapsing. Just like it did yesterday. It's doing it again today. Does that mean it can't, come back up again? No, it can come back up again, but the inversion curve always does damage every single time. This is smart money talking right now when you see this sort of information going on. So, of course, the world indices are much lower. Gold and silver are starting to try and climb back up, but once again, they are manipulated and pushed down by the Federal Reserve, by Mnuchin, running the Treasury for Trump. They keep pushing them down. The COMEX decides the price of gold and silver right now through the paper derivatives. Hopefully that will change someday, and then basically gold and silver will be allowed to go up in value again. But currently it's being held down. I also want to show you this. Cryptocurrencies are moving up again as well. Bitcoin is at 8,700. Some of our favorite coins here, Bitcoin Cash at 461. EOS is at $8.19. Litecoin at $117. Now that doesn't mean these won't come down again either. In fact, they probably will sometime soon. I don't know, but while this is happening, the stock market's going down and bonds are being purchased. People are going to safe haven assets. That's what it shows you. Okay, back to the stories at hand. So basically, I'm not going to go too much further into this story. But it is signaling right now that mainstream media is now covering that the banks are saying, oops, this looks like a problem. This bond yield curve inversion looks like it may actually be signaling a recession. Well, we've been telling you that since day one on this channel because we understand this stuff, but we also understand how the media wants to lie to you. Because it's the media's job to keep you spending money and going into debt. That's their job, along with politicians and big banks, too, by the way. Big banks are saying, we can't really cover this up anymore. Okay, next story. Markets tumble. S&P below 2,800. Bond yields crater as traders brace for impact. And once again, they're trying to blame China for this. Whether it be China or Iran or whatever, this was coming no matter what. The reason we have trade war with China right now, the reason we have tensions with Iran and Venezuela is because they need something to blame this whole thing on. The last thing the psychopaths and sociopaths that are politicians and bankers want to do is accept responsibility for their actions and apologize to the American people. They will not do that. If you guys have ever studied psychopaths and sociopaths, they never say they're sorry. Never. And that's evidenced here. They need a reason. They need a black swan. Therefore, we're meddling in Iran right now, and we're also meddling with China on trade. And by the way, that's going to turn into a currency war. So we might have some issues with that too. China is now saying rare earths are off the table. They won't be sending those to us anymore. Or I'm going to charge so much for them that they're going to be very, very expensive for us, and that hurts our manufacturing. Okay, next story. Globalist elites rejoice as Brexit party rise increases odds of a no-deal crisis. Well, I've got so many thoughts on this, I need to curb them right now. But I think a no-deal exit would be good for the people of the UK. Now, when it comes to a Brexit, this is so important we can't, or they can't afford to get it wrong. In my opinion, based on what I know about Brexit, England will have the upper hand in trade negotiations if they leave with no deal. That just, in fact, it seems to me common sense. Leaving with a deal will probably benefit the EU more than it does England. Remember now, Theresa May has been she's been making feces sandwiches and trying to feed them to Parliament for a long time, and that came to an abrupt end last week when she announced, in fact it was almost a week ago, that she announced her resignation. June 7th is her last day as Prime Minister, and she is a lame duck Prime Minister right now. She has no power. I believe that that because she announced her resignation, that all her power basically has been absorbed by Parliament temporarily. So, but this is another black swan event. This could be one of those events, you know, basically a Brexit without a deal. But at the same time, the British people should do what is best for them. They don't need to think about the rest of the world, and that's my opinion. I know a lot of people in England, and they're scared. You know, this Brexit thing, honest to God, scares them. They just don't know what's going to happen next. But they voted to Brexit. They're not being allowed to Brexit, and now hopefully that will change, depending on whether or not Boris Johnson or you know someone else gets into the prime ministership. Okay, the welfare state is tearing Sweden apart. Well, of course it is, and what I want, the reason I'm bringing this up, we have a lot of Swedish folk in our Discord chat, and they all talk about the same thing. Immigration has been devastating to their finances, their culture. It has not brought anything good so far. The rape by these migrants is just incredible. In fact, they're not keeping those statistics anymore. They're not keeping them. So actually the Swedish people can actually see them and understand. The last time they stopped or they were reporting this, if I recall, was 2016 or 2017. But it showed by far and large like 98% of all rape was being done by migrants that were coming into the country raping kids and women. So they don't want to keep those numbers readily available for the people because it shows that the politicians made a mistake. They made a very, very large mistake. Now, I may actually throw in my opinion. I think they intended to do this. I think they did this on purpose. It's a socialist country in Sweden, but they do have free markets. So the free markets are probably upset with the decisions made by the politicians as well. But what's really hurting right now is forced multiculturalism, on the other hand, increases polarization and tribalism among the most basic and most easily recognized dividing lines. So basically, their culture is being torn apart right now because of the welfare state. When a welfare state offers upkeep and support to large quantities of people from cultures that differ enormously from the predominant culture, despite the wishes of the current residents, we have a clear-cut case of forced association, a powder keg that will inevitably get packed with resentment. Guys, they're running into a lot of problems in Sweden because of this. And once again, sociopaths and psychopaths that are politicians and bankers, they create problems and that hurt other people. They don't care. You know, I'm going to say it 3 times in a row. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. Politicians and bankers don't give a crap about the people, the citizens of a country. All they care about is enriching themselves. That's all they care about. And basically throwing all these people into their society enriches them. So they create a crisis in which they can come in and offer a solution that will enrich themselves. Problem, reaction, solution. Okay, next story. German unemployment explodes most since financial crisis, sending bond yields near record lows. Look at this chart, gang. Here's, I don't know, this is global trade year over year. But look at this one here. It bottomed out during the crisis, and it looks like they're heading exactly to the same spot. And it's a very quick clip. Happened very quickly. So German unemployment is now being reported. It's a crisis over there in Germany on unemployment. And who saw that coming? Well, that's just out of the blue. No, it's not. No, it's not. So Germany did not, quote unquote, upgrade their leadership, in the recent EU elections. So Germany is kind of like the last man standing for the New World Order. I don't want to say the last man standing for the New World Order. That is incorrect. However, based on the elections that happened in the EU, Germany was least changed by nationalist candidates. Let's put it that way. So Germany may suffer for that reason. Okay, and let me go on to the final crux here. Chinese company claims its hydrogen-powered vehicle can travel 500 kilometers using only water as fuel. Okay, this is not a new technology, folks. For those of you who are fascinated by this one story here, I submit to you that in America, we actually had a water-powered car, and I believe it was at the 1953 World's Fair. That man and his car disappeared right after the fair. And I'm sure that's because he refused to sell out his patent to the oil companies, and they made him and his car disappear. That's conjecture. That's a guess on my point. I haven't done enough research on this to really truly understand it. But I want to say something about China. China is a communist nation. We all know this. They embrace communism wholeheartedly. They are getting a little bit more freedom now, but they have free markets. They, honest to God, have free markets, and it's a brutal form of capitalism over there when it comes to their markets. But I will tell you this. We as Americans should be absolutely ashamed of ourselves because of all the corruption, the cronyism, crony capitalism, corporatism, whatever you want to call it, that we don't have water-powered cars here in America. The technology's been available for nearly 70 years, and we still don't have it. And if you wonder, gosh, TC, why is that? Why is it we don't have water-powered cars? Because the oil companies own the politicians. Any patents that come out, basically for any technology of, water-powered cars, will automatically get erased. So the power, the power elite, if you will, the people who do oil, people who are into energy, they do not want free fuel for your vehicle. That's not acceptable to them. And that's exactly what this is. How is it that we, America, supposedly the freest country in the world, the bastion of freedom, the light on the hill, to a beacon to everyone, everywhere in the world, why is it we can't have this simple technology? Ask yourself that. Think about that. Because India has it. India's been using water-powered cars for 10 years. Now, granted, they don't go very fast, in at least the technology they have in India. I think they top out at about 35 miles an hour, but that's fine for their cities. If you live in a very populated Indian city, you can't go any faster than that anyway, otherwise you're going to be running people over. So I want you guys to think about that. India, who we think of as a third world nation, and China, who is considered by the world a developing nation, have water-powered cars. They use water. And we can't. We're not allowed. This is just insane. Well, this tells you how corrupt your politicians are. They are bought and paid for by the oil companies. So your politicians will never let this happen anyway. We are very corrupt here. Corporatism, fascism, I meant take your pick. Socialism, we're socialist and we're corporatist. I've done a video about that. I've proven it. There is absolutely no way that anyone can say that we are a constitutional republic or a democracy. We are not. We never have been. We never will be. But China has water-powered cars. India has water-powered cars, yet we don't. So we're going to think on that one here. Why can't we have that technology where we have free fuel? Why can't we have it? I mean, it's so obvious, gang. It's staring you right in the face. It's because your politicians are too corrupt. They will never let that technology get out. They're being paid for by the oil companies, and the oil companies won't let that technology out either. So free fuel is something they just can't stomach. That would completely destroy the oil business. It would completely destroy them. It's that simple. So they're not going to allow that technology out. Okay, that's all I have for now. I'm trying to keep this short. You guys all take care. Have a wonderful day. God bless you all.